women's voices are being silenced, and they're being silenced on all fronts of like social media, pretty much, like Twitter in particular, Facebook, I think to some extent YouTube, but not as much. And we're being silenced on an issue that it impacts on us specifically and has huge and long-reaching effects to it, and yet we're being called bigots when we question or want to, we want answers or, want to get further research or, studies done, or we want to find out, negative impact surveys, etc. on this shit. But every time we do that, we're just being silenced as bigots by Now, I want to get this straight right at the start, right? When I refer to TRAs, that's the trans rights activists. That's the core, very vocal, very nasty group of people that are pushing this ideology within that camp, right? I'm not talking about, I have nothing against like transsexuals. I've got nothing against you if you're transgender. What I have an issue with is when you try to tell me that because your gender identity does not match your biological sex, my biological sex and as being part of a sex-based class, belonging to like half of all humanity, is no longer relevant. That's where I have the issue. And when you start to like push for policy change and get the things enshrined in law that then undermine the existing sex-based rights that I as a woman have, that my foremothers, the women that came before me have fought and fucking died to gain, that's what I have a problem with. And when you're trying to push an ideology that's going to be telling my 3-year-old daughter that she's not allowed to have boundaries, and she's not allowed to, say, look at this, there's a male-bodied boy next to me in my change room, and I'm like, when she's hit puberty and she's got her periods, etc., and if the presence of that makes her uncomfortable, she's, if she's going to be told then that she's a bigot for that, then that's where I have an issue. If she's going to get told that because she's good at maths and science and likes robots, that she must be a boy in a girl's body, right? And that she must be trans, and therefore get her on the puberty blockers, etc. And then a double mastectomy and a double mastectomy when she's hits her majority. That's what I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with. There's fuckloads of transsexuals out there that are just living their lives, trying to get through day to day. We've got many. I'm on Twitter. I'll put my title up there. But we've got many transsexual allies who are basically like standing with us and voicing their opposition to the trans rights TRA ideology and their hostile takeover of womanhood, and these people, even though they are transsexuals, are being called transphobes and are getting death threats and all that sort of shit that anyone does that questions this fucking cult, So see, what people don't understand is that the transgender umbrella it's been expanded and broadened to encompass not only like people with gender dysphoria, which is there's differing sort of medical views, but yeah, it is a legitimate fucking illness, and my heart goes out to anyone with it. But the umbrella's been expanded to include not only these people, but anyone now who does not identify as the stereotypical role assigned by their sex. So anyone that's basically gender non-conforming, GNC, is trans according to these fuckers. I want to make sure that this time, because the reason they've come so far, this movement, as it has, is because it goes underneath the shroud of inclusivity, because they've attached themselves to the LGBT movement. Although they're deeply, deeply lesbiophobic and homophobic, but they've come in in with them like some sort of Trojan horse, and people just assume no one wants to be a bigoted asshole. No one is. I'm not. When I first started getting into this shit, before I cottoned on to what's going on, of course I didn't want to be one of these nasty bitch turfs, etc. I didn't want to be a bigot. I'm not a bigot. You can ask anyone that knows me. I am the least bigoted or judgmental person you ever fucking meet. And so that's preying on people's initial good nature, and then the second thing of the majority of people is just to not question or not to go go beyond a surface fucking look at things, which is really bad because critical thinking, critical analysis are the enemies of this movement, you know, and that's why the aggressive silencing campaign that's been waged right from the start is because you got to silence these people and shut them up, because if they get other people starting to look at this fucking movement and the ideology that underlies it like really close, it falls apart. It doesn't stand up under scrutiny, you know. So anyways, that's one thing. Yeah, the purpose for this is basically I want to get information out there to the Australians, that, you know, just your general Aussie Joe Bloke, whatever, to make sure that Aussies have both sides of the coin and all of the information available, so that they can see the realities of this movement and not just what its propaganda machine wants them to see. You know, and unlike them, I'm not going to say, like, I'm not preaching or telling you how to think or whatever. I'm just going to be saying, here's some other things to look at. There's some evidence that is independently done. It's not part of the trans rights fucking propaganda, you know, machine. Like, check these things out. Make up your own mind.